Alright, so I was having a problem with the window regulator in my Ford Crown Victoria, 92 Crown Victoria. The problem is actually not in the regulator itself, but it's in the gear assembly here attached to the motor. I've already removed it from my passenger door. It's actually a pretty easy thing to do. There's only a couple screws, 3 screws once you get the door panel off, and then getting it to this point is really pretty easy. Wiring harness with the famous Ford clips. But anyways, the way it comes apart, and I've actually done the rebuild already. There was a torque screw here. I think it's a 15, size 15. Some people call it a star. This part comes off to reveal the gears underneath, and we'll get to the rest after. What the problem is inside Ford's little gear assembly, there are these 3 plastic pins, and actually these are the new ones that I've already put in there. What happens is these things are actually hollow, what Ford supplies from the factory, or provides from the factory, and eventually they give way and they just shatter. So when I first took this apart, this area was completely full of plastic parts, just shredded all over this gear itself. Of course, the original pins were all gone, and then inside here is a worm gear, and even the worm gear itself, inside here, it was all completely full of the shards of plastic from when it came apart. So I've already, as you can see, I've already taken it apart and cleaned this and cleaned the other part of the gear assembly. And the next step from that was actually taking the motor apart. You have to take the housing off. There are 4 other screws, which I've taken off as well. Same size, like a T15, I believe. So then when you take it apart, it just slides open like this, and you got to be careful to hold the armature inside here so it doesn't slide out with the case, because the magnets in here are pretty strong. And there's a real reason for that once we get into it. So we've got the armature here, and you can see the brushes on the contacts. So at this point, you really just slide it out, and there are 2 springs. You got to be careful so they don't go flying anywhere. And then inside there is also a nylon bushing. And as you can see, I mean, this thing is pretty clean. It used to be all covered with plastic shards in there, and then also inside the housing here. And like I said, I've taken it all apart and cleaned it all up, and then it's just a matter of obviously putting it back together. And I'll get to why, or what actually to do about repairing this thing without going to your local Ford factory dealership representative to order new parts. So let's take a break, and I'll come back and I'll show you the rest.